You ever notice how life has a way of stripping you down to nothing before it starts building you back up? That's rock bottom. And I'm not talking about a little setback. I'm talking about the place where you feel like you've got nothing left to give, where every option seems closed, where even getting up in the morning feels like a fight. Some of you know that place too well. You've been there when the bill stacked higher than your confidence, when the relationships broke, when the job you thought was forever vanished overnight. That's the moment life tests you, not with comfort, not with convenience, but with chaos. And in that chaos, you find yourself crying out, not because you're weak, but because that cry is the sound of survival, the beginning of strength. People try to avoid rock bottom. They want to skip the struggle. They pray for blessings without burdens, victories without valleys. But let me tell you, the ground floor of greatness is rock bottom. That's where you discover who you are when everything else is stripped away. You can't fake it down there. You can't pretend. You meet the rawest version of yourself. And here's the truth. Sometimes life has to break you to show you what's really inside you. That cry that comes out when you're at your lowest isn't weakness. It's the sound of your soul saying, I'm not done yet. Think about it. When do you fight the hardest? It's not when everything's comfortable. It's when you're desperate. It's when your back is against the wall and there's no safety net, no plan B, no easy escape. That's when the cry comes out. And that cry has power. It pushes you to keep swinging when you should have stayed down. It drives you to wake up when the world expects you to quit. The beauty of rock bottom is it eliminates distractions. You're not worried about opinions. You're not worried about image. You're only worried about survival. And that focus, that hunger, that raw desperation, it creates a fire in you that no comfort zone could ever spark. The world celebrates success, but it's built on cries nobody saw. Those late nights when you were talking to yourself just to keep going. Those mornings when you had to drag yourself out of bed, even when your body begged you to stay down. That's the foundation of victory. Without the breaking, there's no breakthrough. Without the tears, there's no triumph. Rock bottom isn't where dreams die. It's where warriors are made. So don't despise it. Don't curse it. If you find yourself at the bottom, understand that it's not the end. It's the beginning. That cry coming out of you right now is not a funeral. It's a birth cry. It's life telling you that your next chapter is about to start. Because the truth is simple. Sometimes life has to take you to the bottom just so you can find out how high you're capable of climbing. Pain has a way of showing up uninvited. It doesn't knock on the door. It doesn't ask if it's a good time. It just comes crashing in. And the first instinct most people have is to run from it, numb it, hide from it, bury it. But let me tell you something. Pain is not here to destroy you. Pain is here to push you. The problem is, too many of us misunderstand pain. We treat it like an enemy when in reality, it can be the best coach you'll ever have. That cry that comes out when the weight gets too heavy, that ache in your chest when life doesn't go your way, that sting when people doubt you, that's not the end of you. That's the beginning of fuel if you learn how to use it. Think about it. Every great breakthrough in your life probably came after something that hurt, that heartbreak, that failure. That rejection, it didn't feel good at the time, but it lit a fire in you. You wouldn't have studied harder. You wouldn't have trained longer. You wouldn't have taken that risk if comfort had been your companion. Pain woke you up. Pain reminded you that you've got more in you than you're giving. Pain made you get serious about the things you used to play with. When you stop running from pain and start leaning into it, you transform it. That energy, that frustration, that disappointment, it doesn't disappear. It gets converted into drive. The same way a fire consumes wood and turns it into heat, pain consumes excuses and turns them into power. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, watch me. And that shift changes everything. The truth is, comfort makes you soft, but pain makes you sharp. It cuts away laziness. It cuts away excuses. It cuts away fear. You may not realize it now, but the pain you're feeling could be the very thing that saves you. Because when it hurts bad enough, you stop playing games with your life. You stop hanging around people who waste your time. You stop settling for average. You stop being okay with just surviving. Pain forces you to grow or get left behind. And let me tell you, the people who make it to the top, the ones you admire, the ones who inspire you, they didn't avoid pain. They mastered it. They cried out. They felt every ounce of the struggle. But instead of letting it break them, they let it build them. They learned how to turn pain into preparation, into persistence, into purpose. So the next time life cuts you deep, don't run hide. Take that pain, take that cry, and turn it into your fuel. Because the very thing that was meant to bury, you become the fire that launches you. Too many people are carrying battles inside that nobody else knows about. They wake up every morning put on a smile, and act like everything's fine when deep down they're breaking. They suffer in silence because they're scared of being judged, scared of looking weak, scared of admitting that life has knocked them down. But here's the truth: silence is not strength, silence is suffocation. Every time you hold it in, every time you bury what's tearing you apart, you give pain more power over you. That's why you've got to cry out, not just to others, but to yourself, to the universe, to your own spirit, because the release is where the healing begins. Think about it. Pressure builds. You can't keep stacking pain, disappointment, and frustration inside without expecting it to eventually explode. That's why some people break down unexpectedly. It's not that one situation was too much. It's that they never released the 100 things that came before it. They've been bottling it all up. But when you cry out, when you stop pretending and let it out, you don't break, you breathe. You make space inside of you for strength to grow. We live in a world that teaches us to fake it. Social media says, post the highlight reel, hide the struggle. Culture says, be strong, don't show weakness. But let me tell you, pretending doesn't make you strong, it makes you trapped. Real strength is saying, I'm not okay right now, but I'm not staying here. Real strength is releasing that cry and using it as fuel to rise again. When you cry out, you're not just expressing pain. You're declaring that you're ready to do something about it. You're taking ownership of your struggle instead of letting it own you. And people will respect that. More importantly, you will respect that because deep down, you'll know you were brave enough to face yourself instead of hiding behind an image. Don't let pride keep you in pain. Don't let fear keep you in silence. Some of the strongest breakthroughs come from the loudest cries. When you cry out, you stop pretending you're okay and you start positioning yourself to be okay. You free yourself from the weight of carrying it all alone. So don't suffer quietly. Don't bury your struggles under a fake smile. Let it out, release it, cry out and turn that sound into strength, because silence will suffocate you, but your voice will save you. There's a different kind of power that comes when you're desperate. Desperation is not the same as wanting something. It's not even the same as needing something. Desperation is when there is no other option but to get it done. It's when the thought of quitting doesn't even exist because survival, purpose, and destiny are on the line. That's when a new level of determination gets unlocked inside of you. And you can't fake that. You can't manufacture that kind of drive from comfort. It only comes when your back is against the wall, when everything feels like it's slipping away, and you have to decide right then and there that you will not be denied. Most people talk about goals, but few ever reach the place where it's life or death for them. And I don't mean physically dying. I mean spiritually, mentally, emotionally, where not achieving that dream would mean the death of who you truly are inside. When you get to that place, you don't just try, you fight. You don't just hope, you hustle. You don't just want it, you're willing to bleed for it. That's desperation. And that's why it's so powerful. When you cry out from that place, it isn't a cry of weakness. It's a war cry. It's the sound of someone who has decided that nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to stand in the way. That cry becomes a vow. It's not just noise. It's a declaration to yourself and to life that no matter how hard it gets, you're not leaving without what you came for. Think about the times in your life when you've shocked yourself. Those moments when you didn't think you could push one more inch, but somehow you did. It wasn't because you suddenly got stronger or smarter. It was because desperation pulled something out of you that was buried deep. That extra mile, that last rep, that late night, that early morning. That's not convenience. That's desperation driving determination. The truth is, when you want something as badly as you want to breathe, you'll find a way. When you want it so much that you can't sleep until you're working on it, when it consumes your thoughts, when it burns in your chest, that's when you start moving differently. People around you may not understand it. They may call you crazy. They may say you're obsessed, but that's fine because desperation has made you dangerous. Dangerous to excuses, dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to every obstacle that thinks it can stand in your way. So if you feel that cry building inside, don't hold it back. Let desperation unlock your determination, because the moment you want it more than anything else, the world has no choice but to move out of your way. The world has taught us to see crying as weakness. From the time we were kids, many of us were told to be strong, to hold it in, to never let anyone see us break. And because of that, some of us grew up believing that if we cry out, if we let people hear our pain, then somehow we failed. But I need you to shift how you see it. Crying out is not defeat. Crying out is a declaration. It's you standing in the middle of your storm and saying, I still got fight left in me. That sound, that release, It's not a signal that you're finished. It's proof that you refuse to be finished. When you hold back your cry, when you act like nothing hurts, you're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself that everything is fine when deep down you know it's not. And that lie robs you of the very energy you need to push forward. But the moment you let it out, the moment you cry out, something shifts. It's like taking the lid off a boiling pot. All that pressure, all that weight, it escapes, and suddenly you can breathe again. That cry becomes your way of saying, life hit me, but I'm still here. I'm not quitting. I'm not folding. I'm not done. Think about a runner who's gasping for air at the end of a marathon. That sound isn't weakness. It's proof they've given everything, proof they refuse to stop. The cry is part of the process. It's a sign you're alive, that you're still in the fight. When you understand that, you stop being embarrassed by your tears and you start respecting them. You see them for what they really are, a declaration of your resilience. There's a fire that gets lit when you cry out because you're not hiding anymore. You're not pretending anymore. You're telling the world, I'm still standing. And that kind of honesty gives you power. It gives you focus. It gives you freedom. People may look at your tears and think you're weak, but let them misunderstand. They don't know the strength it takes to stand up. Open your chest and let the world hear your struggle. They don't know that every tear is connected to your will to rise. So don't see crying out as the end of you. See it as the start of your next chapter. Don't let pride or fear silence you. Because when you release that sound, when you declare that you're still here, you shift from defeat to determination. And in that moment, the world realizes something powerful. You're not crying because you've lost. You're crying because you've decided you will win. When you cry out, that moment isn't meant to be the ending. It's the beginning. Too many people mistake their cry for weakness, as if it's the final act, as if they've been defeated. But what if I told you that cry is the start of something greater? What if I told you it's not the sound of surrender, but the sound of a warrior getting ready to rise? That's the shift. Understanding that your cry is not where it stops, but where it all starts to change. Because after the cry, something happens. You find clarity. You feel lighter. The pressure that was suffocating you finally releases. And in that space, strength begins to build. That cry is the doorway to your conquest. The signal that your fight is not over, but is only beginning. And the beauty of it is this: the louder the cry, the greater the rise. The deeper the pain, the stronger the purpose. The heavier the struggle, the sweeter the victory. Think about it. Every great story has a breaking point. Every champion has a moment where they were down, where the weight was too much, where they could have quit. And in that moment, there's always a cry. That cry is the turning point. It's where the character digs deeper, where the fighter finds another gear, where the dreamer refuses to die. And from there, they rise into the very thing they were created to be. You can't conquer without a cry, because that cry connects you to the fight. It reminds you that you're alive, that you still care, that you still have skin in the game. If you didn't cry, it would mean you've given up, that you've stopped feeling, that you've accepted defeat. But your cry says, no, I'm still here. I still believe. I still want this. That's not weakness. That's courage. That's faith. That's the fuel that carries you from the valley to the mountain. And once you rise from that cry, you don't rise the same. You rise wiser. You rise tougher. You rise with scars that tell a story and strength that can't be faked. People who've never cried out don't know this level of power because they've never faced themselves in the darkest moments. But when you've been there, when you've let it out and still chosen to stand, you walk differently. You carry yourself differently. You conquer differently. So don't be afraid of the cry. Don't see it as the end. See it as the foundation of your rise, the spark of your breakthrough, the proof that you've got more fight inside you than the world ever expected. Because the cry is not your defeat. It's the sound of your victory beginning.